The soccer war of the Roses, Leeds versus Liverpool. The two teams making the traditional Wembley entrance.
He scored the goal that changed everything. Wembley, 1965. The moment Liverpool stopped hoping and started believing. But today, there's no statue of Ian St John, no chant echoing his name, no mural beside the Shankly Gates, just silence, where a roar once began. They remember Keegan. They sing for Dalglish. But the man who made the roar possible, he slipped into history like a shadow at sunset. This isn't a fairy tale. It's not a tribute to flash or fame. It's the story of a boy from Motherwell who carried a club from second division obscurity to the steps of greatness, and then walked away without asking for applause. He didn't chase headlines. He built legacies. If you believe that foundations matter more than fireworks, subscribe. Because Ian St John didn't just change Liverpool, he started Liverpool. Ian St John was born in 1938 in Motherwell, a steel town where ambition had to fight through smoke and coal just to breathe. His father died when he was just 6. No silver spoon, no shortcuts, just soot-stained pavements and one boy with a ball. At 17, he signed with Motherwell FC, a club known for graft, not glamour. But under Bobby Ansell, a revolution quietly began. They called them Ansell's Babes, youthful, fearless, and built to dance instead of scrap. They weren't just good, they played with a flair that rewrote the rhythm of Scottish football. And St John was the heart of it, short, sharp, relentless. He didn't just move, he pulsed with intent. Every touch had purpose, every run, belief. Then came the moment that sent shockwaves beyond Scotland. In 1959, against Hibernian, St John scored a hat-trick in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Let that sink in. 3 goals, 2.5 minutes, a record, a statement, a scream of destiny. He wasn't knocking on greatness, he kicked the door in. By the time he left Motherwell, from 1956 to 1961, he made 105 appearances for Motherwell, scoring 80 goals. And the kind of aura that couldn't stay hidden for long. Shankly saw it, and Liverpool came calling. In 1961, Liverpool weren't giants. They were a proud club, stuck in the second division. Dreams of glory echoed louder than results. And then Bill Shankly made a call that would echo through time. He signed Ian St John from Motherwell for £37,500, a record for Liverpool. A risk, a statement. And Shankly didn't blink. Because he didn't just see a forward, he saw a force. St John made his debut in a blaze, and soon after, scored a hat-trick against Everton in the Liverpool Senior Cup. A hat-trick in a derby, before he even played in the first division. That wasn't luck. That was a warning shot. He was small, stocky, and always 2 moves ahead. He didn't just link midfield and attack, he was the link. A forward who could pass, press, drift, and finish. And with Roger Hunt beside him and Shankly behind him, a revolution started ticking. Liverpool won promotion in 1962. And St John, he didn't just arrive, he rewrote the script. In 1963-64, Liverpool lifted the First Division title, their first in 17 years. And at the heart of it, Ian St John. Not the flashiest, not the loudest, but the one who made things click. While Hunt scored and Callaghan roamed, St John connected it all, dropping deep, drawing defenders, threading passes that split games open. He wasn't a number 9, he wasn't a 10, he was the pulse. The tempo setter in a side learning how to dream. And when they did it again in 1965-66, St John was still there, unshaken, unshouted. Shankly called him one of the most intelligent players he'd ever coached, and teammates trusted him like a compass. He didn't score in every match, but when he touched the ball, the whole team breathed better. Some players make noise, others make music. St John? He made rhythm. And all of it was building. He was heading toward a moment, not just a goal, but a ghost-defying leap that would end a curse and start a legend. It was May 1st, 1965. The FA Cup final. Liverpool versus Leeds, Wembley. A club starving for the one trophy it had never touched. 90 minutes, deadlock, extra time, muscles heavy, hearts heavier. Then, the 117th minute. Ian Callaghan floated in a cross, not thunderous, not flashy, just hopeful. And Ian St John, rising between two Leeds defenders, met it with a header so clean, so sharp, it didn't just beat the keeper, it broke a curse. Liverpool won their first ever FA Cup. 73 years of waiting ended by a man just 5 feet 7 inches who leapt like he carried the weight of a city on his shoulders. Shankly would later say, "The greatest header I've ever seen. No VAR, no script. Just one moment of will, timing and glory." And in that moment, Liverpool didn't just win a cup, they crossed a line. From history into immortality. And at the center of it all, not a banner, not a statue. Just the Saint rising. Before Anfield knew his name, Scotland did. Ian St John debuted for the national team in 1959 and scored in a 3-2 win over West Germany. A giant slain, a message sent. Scotland never made the World Cup stage in his era, but St John's pride never dimmed. He wore the lion like it meant something, not for glamour, not for fame, but for country, for pride. Across 21 caps, he netted 9 goals. No fuss, no fanfare, just finished chances and fearless pressing. In an era of hard men and harder tackles, St John brought intelligence to the forward line. He linked, he led. He wasn't just a scorer, he was Scotland's glue. But the glory wasn't always there. No World Cup fairy tales, no parades through Glasgow. And yet, he showed up. Every call-up, he answered. Every anthem, he stood tall. Every shirt, sweat-soaked. Because for Ian St John, football was service. Whether it was for the red of Liverpool or the blue of his nation, he gave the same heart. By the late 1960s, the roar was changing. Liverpool was evolving. New blood, new legs, and the Saint, still sharp, but not immortal. In 1971, Ian St John left Anfield. No farewell parade, no mural, no second chance. He joined Coventry City, a different rhythm, a smaller stage. Then Tranmere Rovers, closer to the docks, but a world away from Wembley. No send-off, no statue, just a quiet walk away from a stadium he once helped lift into the sky. No testimonial echoed through the Kop, no parade, just silence, where a roar once began. Some legends vanish in drama. He disappeared in dignity. And that silence, it's the cruelest sound in football. Because when the banners fade and the floodlights shift, who remembers the men who built the foundations? He left the pitch, but never left the game. In the 1980s, just when many had forgotten his name, he returned. Not in boots, but in a suit. Not with headers, but with humor. Saint and Greavsie wasn't just a football show, it was football's first conversation, a cultural landmark. From 1985 to 1992, he sat across from Jimmy Greaves, bantering, laughing, arguing, remembering. They made football human. Not highlights, heart. To a new generation, he wasn't Ian St John the striker, he was the Saint, the man who made Saturday mornings sing. In his later years, he quietly supported cancer charities, giving back with the same heart he gave Anfield. And behind the laughter, there was always wisdom. The mind of a player who had seen it all and gave it back with charm. He even stepped briefly into management, at Motherwell and later Portsmouth, but his legacy lived not in dugouts, but in memories. No statue, no chant, no mural at Anfield's gates. But go back. Watch that header in 1965. The moment he rose, as if gravity had no claim on him, and sent the ball and Liverpool into a different future. That was the moment the club stopped hoping and started believing. They say football forgets, but some names, they aren't written in stone, they're written in the rhythm of the crowd, in the roar that lives through generations. Ian St John didn't just play for Liverpool, he changed Liverpool. And even now, every time the ball's crossed into the box and the crowd holds its breath, that moment is still alive. In 2014, he faced bladder cancer with the same quiet grit he brought to every pitch, fighting without drama until March 2021, when he passed as he lived, humbly, without headlines, but the roar, it's still his.